Hello everyone, and welcome back to Witch in the Woods, such as it is. So, it's bonfire night, so if there are loud noises out back, you know why. Managed to get a few more hearts, as you can see down the bottom there. It's actually kind of tricky for me to get the little red hearts for the, making the yellows and stuff, because I don't really kill that many mobs these days, when my level is 1. But anyways, as you can see, I did some mutating at last, and we have some graspers. There is actually something I need to make right now, so let me see. I need a chest there, and I need vines around like that. I don't need the graspers there, but I don't think it'll mind. Yep. Just gonna... Ooh, that was a bit of lag. Just gonna fix this up before we get to business today. Oh, no. Do you need to not have this underneath you? No? Am I forgetting something here? Oh, it needs to be a trap chest. That's my mistake. Alright. Best laid plans of mice and men. So what I'm trying to make here, as you may be able to guess from last season, is a leech chest. So let me see. I need a tripwire. Which of course I do not have programmed into the system, but that's easy to make. It is a piece of iron, a stick, and a plank of wood. And it'll get us 2. There we go. 2 tripwire hooks. Get rid of you. Nope. There we are. One very specific direction. Alright, anyways. So I need... Oh boy, yeah, the lag has suddenly gotten really intense. I need this. Finally, there we go. Looks a lot more ugly in this texture pack, but oh well. Let's see, this should break just normally. Like... very eventually... Holy balls. There you go. Like that. And then I need to put it over here, and that's going to be tricky without getting rid of my roses, so... excuse me, magical nether brick. I need to borrow your flesh. There we go. And put that back so we don't disturb the lighting. Add roses. And... blood roses. They don't look any different, which is fine by me. And I can't remember if I have to use a bowline or something to pick these up, so this is going to be fun. I'll hit one with a bowline and then I'll hit the other with shears. Can harvest trapped plants and cobwebs. I presume this qualifies as a trapped plant. Yes, it does. Okay, good. There we go. So that is 4 blood roses. Now these are like the traps chest, but you just walk over them, so they're much more discreet. And we can use that to automate getting tag locks from me. So that's going to be fun. Anyways, our business for today is that first we have to take a look at how the moss farm is doing. Now, you can see over here, I've expanded our selection of things. For one thing, we have over 10,000 cotton, so that's good. And we also have over 1,200 Spanish moss. Also, over 2,700 mandrake. I don't envy anyone who's been standing around here while this place has been running. So through there, we've got the full thing. Now, I did... Speak of the devils. I did have to change it over a bit to just these flux-infused Omni wrenches, which thankfully still work even if they don't have any power, as you can see. The one in the middle has power just because at the time I was holding it, I happened to have this inside. So yeah, that was charged, but these other 2 aren't. So those are just whacking at anything that comes down there, and they're destroying it. And then, as you can probably guess from the fact that I don't have the iron bars in my inventory, there is a special item down here, which is the... I'm going to lose my stone for doing this, but oh well. A item collector. Now, there is an advanced version of this, which I tried to use because it has a filter to only pick up Spanish moss, but that apparently is balked in this version. Random Things' documentation is a bit fuzzy. So this is just picking up anything around me, which is less useful, but it has a very short range at least. Ooh, and I still don't care if my mutating sprig. Oh. So, yeah, so that is happily automating all of our Spanish moss needs. We no longer have to worry about that. I think more or less the only two things that I need to hook up now are some automated means of getting my tag log and another means for getting eggs. Because you need mutandis, which means eggs occasionally. It's a weird thing. Anyways, that is the first thing on our to-do. Moss progress. Next is Spatial Container. So last time, before we were rudely interrupted, I was talking about making emissaries and, like, actually genetically modifying them to suit our purposes. And that is going to be potentially a bad thing to be having happen inside of our lovely little well, which I've spent so very long rebuilding, I don't need to tell you. Anyways, now there are these spatial containers. Now, I'm probably not going to be using a 16 by 16, definitely not 128 by 28, but 2 by 2 seems way too small to me. Especially since if you spawn these in and then go into the dimension, they don't have a floor unless they teleported with one, so yeah. So we're going to be ripping this out and replacing, or at least putting around it, a form of spatial storage. This is a special feature of of applied energistics, added, I believe, after last season, so we didn't get to see it, so it's a brand new piece of content for me to discover and mess around with and all sorts. And I had an idea that we could potentially, since we're using this as basically emergency containment of things that might teleport or break stuff, it could theoretically also be a prison. Just a thought. But yeah, we've got all the genes we need. I mean, if I look over here, let's see, there's all of the genes. So we've got Water Breather, we've got Teleporter, we've got Throw Potions, we've got Shoot Fireballs, Save Your Inventory, oh, there's a None. What's that doing in there? Resistance, Infinity, Avoid Creepers, Climb, Destroy Blocks with Fireballs, Swim in Lava, all the good stuff, and a whole ton of basics besides. So we don't quite need all of these machines to be around anymore. We're gonna keep them, because you never know, they might come in handy. And also, so much organic drop. Jeez. But we're just gonna try and replace this, well, we're gonna try and set some kind of spatial storage over here. So that means we need to teach the system a whole bunch of new stuff. And whilst I'm doing that, I can talk about the homework, because it was something that I can talk about for ages, as we all know. So the homework was Night of the Living Dead. Specifically, either the original 1968 version or the Tom Savini 1990 version. And basically, the separation in the two boils down to how you feel about the portrayal of women in movies, especially horror movies. In horror movies, it is fairly classical and typical for the female character, be they the lead or the sidekick or the love interest, often the love interest getting tied to it like a train line or something, to be portrayed as being weak, vulnerable. They're the bait that's used by the monster or something, and to his credit, in the course of the 1968 filming of Night of the Living Dead, George Romero was aware of this problem. It wasn't really in the forefront of his mind. George Romero isn't exactly a how do I put this? He isn't exactly the most like forethought kind of guy. He doesn't plan like for the future. He's not much of a futurist, I guess would be the phrase. Let's see, Fluix Pearl can go there. Let's put you there. There we go. Spatial storage cell can go there. Spatial storage can go there. Let's put that there instead, actually. And oh, actually, if I put it there, yay! I'm being clever with my storage here. So storage block, storage cell. Did I not tell this how to make a storage block? Apparently not. There. Okay, so that should be all of that. And there's another one, which is the storage cluster, which is for the huge one, which we will not be needing, so we're not going to bother with that. And then we need also a spatial storage port, which requires an I/O port, which requires drives and stuff. So we'll get to work on making that while I keep talking. So yeah, the original, in my mind, besides being classical for its genre, and spatial-gem, never heard of that. craft it? No. Must be loot. The original Night of the Living Dead in 1968, when it was black and white because it was cheaper, focused on a core group of characters. You had the country girlfriend and the country boy. You had the out-of-town family. You had Barbara herself, who was up with her snotty-nosed brother Johnny, and all of this, and that was fairly standard for the time. It was like it's basically the plot of like an original 1950s horror movie, like they came from the planet Venus or whatever. It's like, if you think of it, that's exactly what they were. But if you then take a look at how Barbara goes, Barbara is where things become slightly embarrassing, because you've got the country girlfriend, who is perfectly capable of operating by herself. Granted, she's a bit headstrong, she doesn't quite think ahead, and she, of course, gets things destroyed and killed. But then you've got Barbara, who by the end of the movie is completely catatonic. Like, everybody around her, including the country girlfriend, even though she does still make mistakes, everybody around Barbara is functioning, but she is completely comatose. And that is where things start to fall apart in terms of comparison like that. Yeah, it's a basic, and it's 2 drives, okay. I need some cable. Cable. Which I made a ton of, thankfully. Did I order a second drive? I swear I ordered a second drive. Apparently not. Okay, so then you get to the Tom Savini remake. Now, of course, Tom Savini would have been involved with the original, but he was drafted into being a war photographer in Vietnam the very same period that they were filming it. So he didn't get the chance to work on the original Night of the Living Dead, and when he finally got back after filming and taking photos, which have marked the rest of his career in Vietnam, he called up George, and George basically said, "Hey, you want to work over here? Because we got a new movie going on. It's called Dawn of the Dead, which is the 1978. No, I might have these numbers mixed around a bit. 1968 might be Dawn of the Dead. In which case, I no longer remember when night started. Anyways, suffice it to say, do we have that second drive? Yes, we do. Good. So then Savini comes along, and he's younger than George. He's less set in, like, the ways he was, like, working in, that he was raised in, that kind of thing. He's seen horrible things, and he knows exactly what, like, people who get shot in the face look like, and that such. And he knows the people who were working on the original. He knows the people who were working on Night of the Living Dead. So he looks at the character of Barbara, and he slightly reimagines her. He thinks her out a bit more. He knows, so he determines that she is a slightly mousy school teacher, but that if you're dealing with children, you've got to be able to, like, stand up for yourself. You've got to be able to, like, get to work and, like, make sure everything's working and going properly and that kind of thing. And then, quite rightfully, he basically turns her into, if he were to take a more modern movie, Ellen Ripley. So she is out of her depth. This is not something she understands, but people around her are getting on with it, and dang it, she's not going to be left behind on that. So it's a very different take on how the character works, and it's a much more empowered Barbara that you find in the course of the 1990 version. Of course, this leads to differences in how things end, it leads to differences in how certain characters end up, that kind of thing. But yeah, wow, you can probably hear that. Jeez. Okay. So let's mark out the space that we want to contain. And I'm just going to do that quick and simple, I think, just by digging out. We're going to have to reroute some cabling, I think, but that shouldn't be too difficult. Yeah, definitely going to have to reroute some cabling. Oh well, that's not a problem. Okay, so, and then over this way, and there, and there. Okay, so it is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So here we've got 3. So 4, And a couple more. 5. Okay. So yeah, the original Night of the Living Dead, very much a product of its era. Obviously, it is still very much a classic, and I highly recommend it. It's hard to get into proper zombie kind of movies without talking about Night of the Living Dead and George Romero. But, for more modern audiences, we would expect instead to be seeing things like the 1990 version at minimum. Now, there are still, of course, flaws in the 1990 version, because it's an updated retelling of the original, and therefore shares some qualities with it that are not particularly the most savoury. But, although I will point out that, let's see, the female character, well, the country girlfriend, for example, dies in the newer version because of a gas leak. I can't recall how she dies in the original. It has been so long. My brain is mostly just trying to remember if the gas leak happens in both. Barbara winds up sort of just getting along by herself in this, like, sort of mercenary camp, this brigade of terrible individuals who, just sort of happen to be the ones that find her and don't shoot her, although they nearly do, and all sorts. Okay, so we've gotten that much. I can probably tear out this wiring and put, like, a lever or something here, because I probably don't need the mob counter anymore. But let me see. Okay, so now I'm going to need a heck-ton of spatial containment. Great, this could take a while to craft. That's why it was the first thing I put into the listing. So yeah, things around the well are a little bit stressed right now, because the last thing that I needed to find out was living here was somebody who is just me. Moreover, somebody who is just me who is very angry with me. As if I didn't need another reminder. As if I didn't need one more thing to let me know that I was stuck here for I didn't even know how long. As if my problems aren't big enough. I mean, really, what do you have to worry about? You're dead. Presumably forever. I, on the other hand, apparently decided that living inside of a well for eternity was going to be a smart move. Not like I had any other choice of where to go. Those were my options. I used them. And what's really annoying? You know what's really tremendously annoying about all of this creeping around behind my back? All of this pretending that you're some foul demon from the depths of hell come to torment me and punish my wrongdoings? Is you do exactly the same thing. You're me. 1,000 times over, you're me. Haunted by my own ghost, come on now. So it's all well and good for you to say, oh, you did a terrible thing to us, oh, lying, you're such a horrible person, but in a heartbeat, in the same exact situation, you would do the exact same thing. So don't get all high and mighty at me. Sorry, I'm going off on a huge tangent here, aren't I? Honestly, I'm not afraid of you. I'm not. Why would I be afraid of me? Why would I be afraid of myself? You know what? I'm here. That's the difference here. There's the ghost that wants to think it's scary, and then there's me. Well, guess what? You're not scary. I'm not afraid of you, and I'm not going to start being afraid of you. Ever. Here's your reality. I'm not afraid of you. And what's more, I'm a better monster than you are. Ore wa mori no maho. Ore wa kyofuda. And your homework is to go watch Coherence, indie film released last year. See you there.